so I would have been almost 20, I think, and maybe even 20. The summer I turned 20, probably. And I was walking around these lovely country lanes on a sparkling green day in the summer, in Wisconsin summer, in the hills and the valleys, and it's just wonderful, you know, you felt great. And then I turned the corner and I looked down in this Emerald Valley, and there's this little bus, little old school bus down there that's all white with a rainbow on it, tucked away in this little farmy site. And I'm looking at that and my heart just goes, oh, the dream, you know. And
before that moment, had you thought of living in a bus before?
Oh yes, when I was hitchhiking around, and like the times when I was on the West Coast, it was very popular at that time, like late 70s, to be living in a bus. And California was really friendly about it. I mean, it was really easy to do there. And I'd seen lots of beautiful buses and trucks with dwellings on them of all different kinds of everything from just your regular pickup truck with the sleepover, the real conventional setup that some cool people had gotten a hold of and put their fun homey stuff in, so it wasn't your standard hunter, you know, setup, but cooler than that. But you wouldn't know it so much from the outside. And other ones that just, you know, were all built of wood on a great big flatbed that had porches on the back and these lovely antique windows and doors and rocking chairs and wood stoves and little indoor showers with little garden setups and cabinetry and all that. And so there's this huge wide variety of stuff to be inspired about out there. So back to the Emerald Valley and this bus sparkling away down there. I went down and knocked on the door and asked them, you know, do you by any chance want to sell that bus? And we worked it out. It had belonged to the Madison Astronomers League. So the bus was a well-traveled bus. It had been to Alaska and to Mexico to watch special astronomical events. And so it had one of the really neat little things that I found in there that I have somewhere, I would never let it go, is what I thought was a metal heart, this brass heart. And somebody told me once, after a while, that's a weight that you put on the bottom of a telescope. It has to do with something that they do when they're balancing their getting their telescope set up just right. And so it's a wonderful little part of the story for me. And I've always had that long after I don't have the bus anymore. So I was hanging out on Haight Street for a while, and I started remodeling the bus. So a lot of spare bus seats showed up in a few dumpsters in the area. I didn't realize at the time that people had to pay for their dumpsters and their dumpster space. And that other than staying in the bus by myself for like 2 months or something, not quite, something like that, at my parents',
land.
I hadn't yet claimed it as my own space for me as my home. And so this was the first time I was really doing that. And I would shuffle it around different spots in San Francisco so I didn't wear out anybody's welcome in any particular spot. But you know, at that point it was legal to park in all the public, there was all this public parking along by the ocean, and you could stay any place for something like a week at a time, and it was perfectly legal as long as you didn't leave yellow foamy stuff on the pavement and whatnot. So I was over by, you know where not Sumatra, what are they called, the Sumatra baths? The ruined baths in San Francisco, the old bathhouse over on you've been to the San Francisco, right? And you've been to Golden Gate Park?
I haven't actually. I didn't ever make it there.
Oh, so I was traipsing around Golden Gate Park all the time, back and forth, and on the other side of Golden Gate Park from Haight Street, over by, what's it called, the Cliff House? And you'll see it in Harold and Maude. They incorporate this, it's really cool, but you have to go to the commercial restaurant and go in to look at the photos, the old photos. And now that we have internet, this incredible thing called internet, we can Google it and you'll see the antique, the vintage photos of the old public bathhouse that was this huge place on the coast, and eventually, it was under glass, and it incorporated some ocean water, I think, and I don't remember if they had some sort of hot springs activity involved, or whether they actually heated the water, or how they worked it. But there's these great old photographs of hundreds of people using these baths, and yeah, neat. So the ruins of that is still there, and I just love stuff like that. So I was parked over near, as close as I could get to that, and I would go roaming around and looking, getting as close to that physically as I could, often, just because I was fascinated with it. And so generally along the coast, and other people were doing similar stuff in vans and campers, and people would set up outside in the evenings, like bring out their lawn chairs or whatever they had, and start playing guitar. Would have preferred to have built more of it myself, but the opportunity came up to get one that was more ready-made to go, which I think in my case made the difference of whether it really happened or not, because the project of really building one, I think was more ambitious. Well, I was looking at the idea of a flatbed. I wanted to do the flatbed and do a cabin basically on the back of the flatbed. And some of the people I talked with, it sounds wonderful, but some people had some practical things to point out who lived that way. Were saying, how much more weight those things are, how much more gas it takes to work with those than it does to get, somebody was telling me, get an Airstream, those are perfect, those are wonderful, but that sounded just way too conventional and bourgeois for me.
So you knew about tiny houses before there was the tiny house movement?
Yes. In fact, in 1970, or if there was a tiny house movement, I didn't know about it. In 1970, when I'm 9 years old, like second grade, I'm sitting there in classes not paying attention and drawing little pickup trucks with little housing things on them and stuff. It was just the mobile nest, just really into the mobile nest.